You was bringing up some very interesting points, Brother Allen, concerning the fact that there's ways where we can do a coalition of non-for-profits and have a system set up for payment for those who are in need across this country. So that's just what I was studying in this financial literacy class every Friday. The last Friday of the month, pardon me. And what you brought up would definitely be of great service to that, because we need to set up these non-for-profits across the country as a coalition, because we can see that people is going to be effectuated financially. So we don't even know what's going to happen with the Social Security Administration coming, offices being reopened. We just don't know. So we have to have another plan of action, and this is what you were talking about. So I'll let you pick it up from there, Brother Allen.
Sure. I think that the technology does exist for us to put together payment systems that enable us to touch the those who are struggling the most from our communities. And they're based upon the census tracts that they've laid out and the Social Security system, where the Social Security numbers by code are broken down by what they call race. Again, I didn't think that they thought that we would be thinking like we are now, and that's something that we need to continue to move. I think that a lot of it, the more that we just work together and work not so much in the public space of it all, but in concert, I believe we're going to be fine. That's number one. With the technology moving the way it is now, with the open systems, with some of the work that preceded the last two presidents by President Obama, with the United Nations Declaration of Rights of Indigenous People, and where the American people of color, formerly known as African Americans and Negro, if you will.
Yeah, that's the term.
In my opinion, only Brown University has come forward and mentioned that 12 million slaves from Africa were mixed together with about 5.5 million natives. That makes every African American that they call African American technically about 35% to 60% native if your family goes back to the 1800s. So there's no ancestry.com or blood test. It is what it is, and that gives us all day long first right to this land. And I think that it's like a Juneteenth. The only people that don't really know it is us. But
True.
But trust that Donald Trump knows it, and
question.
And all of those who are trying to preserve their way, they know that. And you'll hear the reference to Obama, that a lot of his policies, and some were not the best, but some of them he knocked it out the park. And this is one where they can't reverse it. It's an international move, and it's just there for us to. I like the idea of moving through nonprofit means, Brother Bay, because you can exact every sector of your community, and it keeps the wolves out because it's nonprofit. So you can end up reestablishing everything from banks to healthcare to, of course, your youth programs, your housing, through the nonprofit wing. You can, through grants, and then also through, your own person of title, if the community is strong enough, establish its own funding. Like you guys are working with the More Coin. I applaud that. And all of these indigenous level types of currencies and funding, we're going to be just fine if we continue in that path. And staying on that humble side with the nonprofit is great. So what does it take to really get a nonprofit going so that you can join this coalition? Well, if you have an idea that does fit the categories of what nonprofit work would be, and we'll talk about that if time permits. Then you can for as little as $400, create a basic nonprofit with most states not charging a lot to form your nonprofit articles of incorporation, which is the first document that you would need to create. Here in Pennsylvania, the nonprofit articles of incorporation is $125. In Delaware, it's under $100. And so with that, once those articles are approved, then you would get an EIN from the IRS, which is free and does not cost anything. And then I recommend, if you do not and have not targeted or have any promise from anyone of any kind of grant, I recommend filing the 501c3 EZ application, which is just $275. And as long as, the only ones that I've seen fail on that or in that application are people who try to bring in a for-profit name and then use that same name as the EZ application. And then others who are offering, financial, believe it or not, financial, I wouldn't say literacy. I think that would pass, but financial services usually will get snagged. But pretty much anything other nonprofit that is for the uplift of the community, those uses would pass. And out of COVID, the easy process was slowed down. We saw some applications delayed as much as a year and a half. It was so slow. But within the last year, the window has the services of the IRS have opened back up. Again, we don't know what this president is going to do concerning that staffing, but as it's going now, the last nonprofits that I've done in the last 4 months have been approved inside of 6 weeks. So the timetable is now, and I totally applaud your national call to join a coalition. As a matter of fact,
thank you, brother.
Today, join my Coatesville Community Development Corporation into the coalition. It's official. Okay, so
thank you, brother. Great gratitude, brother, because it's needed. Because again, when you, like, for instance, there's a book that Eric Stevenson, who is the reason why I'm here on this platform, told me about a book called On the Laps of God, and it was a serious major riot in Arkansas where the Black Farmers Association, right, was being destroyed by white landowners. All right. And there's more that I know out in Arizona. His people lived out there during the time of the riot, and the year was 1919, and the Black Farmers Association was putting their coalition together. All right. So that way they can be a service of our people back then. And so we notice there's a reoccurrence of us always trying to galvanize our people's financial stability. That's what it is, galvanizing our people's financial stability, so that way we won't have to suffer. Because even the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, welfare spelled backwards means farewell. Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad stated that, because when the welfare system came out after the Great Depression of 1929, all right, when Roosevelt was saying that we're going to put a chicken in everybody's pot, he wasn't talking about us. He was talking about folks who don't look like us, all right, which was in heavy poverty. But how we were surviving? Well, we were landowners, and sharecroppers. So we had ways to sustain ourselves during that time. Even my grandfather, which was told to me by my mom, during the Great Depression of 1929, he was bringing home $400 a week, during the Great Depression, because he was a bricklayer and he makes his own bricks, and my mom told me these things. And so we had different ways of surviving during the Great Depression. All right. But then what I learned from another gentleman named Atu Malako, who's right now an ancestor, what I learned from him is that when he was going through some trials and tribulations financially in, of course, Mount Vernon, New York, social services to visit his house and was threatened to take away his wife and children and throwing them in jail because he wouldn't put them on social services, on welfare. I would never forget this. And he refused to be on welfare. So he was telling them, give him 2 weeks, he's going to look for a job. Things were so tight. He was telling me that he would take a boiled egg and a bottle of water, when he went to go look for work. And finally he got work. All right. Now, there was a TV show back in the days that some of us may remember it because of our age. All right. Was Claudine, with James Earl Jones. Mm-hmm. Fell in love with Claudine, and she was on social services. So the brother had so much love for the sister that he was buying her things, television, dining room set, whatever that it was needed to sustain her and her children. Right. But when social services came to the house, she had to hide all those things. Remember that? And Claudine, you can do that right now and check that out. All right. So again, to me, I noticed that this whole system is designed to keep our people in poverty. But I'm annoyed with our brothers and sisters who are billionaires because we don't have to be in this condition. I mean, they are doing some work out there. Don't get me wrong. We got brothers out there, who's hundreds of millions of dollars, saying who would do something like Jordan have done stuff, Shaq have done stuff, and others have done things, but we don't see it on a large scale. Here we are starting small, but thinking big on a large scale to help our people at large. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it came to me to say, you know what? We need a coalition of non-for-profits so we can fund our economic stability in our community. All right. Now it's interesting because who came up with the 501c3 was Lyndon Baines Johnson. All right. He did that to keep the churches in check. All right. But I'm saying that we can use this as it was used as something as a negative towards us. We can use it as a positive. All right. Because it was not only just for the churches, but it was also for charitable organizations. All right. And that's what we need. All right. And again, the payment plan that you stated, brother, that can make the payment is not going to go directly to the one who's in need. It's going to go to those agencies. All right. Because we don't want nobody to be able to misuse the funds because we have to be held accountable of how those funds are being used so we can continue to get the grant. All right. So if you have any electric bill that you cannot pay because you lost a job or your income is not great enough and the electric bill is going up, we can take care of that. All right. If you got a mortgage situation, everything would be paid directly to the company who's bringing these claims against you as a creditor. You see what I'm saying? So we will be organized. This is not something that we're going to just be freely handing out just to say that this is just going to be free money. No, this is not something to be saying that it's going to be free as a handout. No, this is to create and help economic stability. It's going to complement. It's going to be like a supplement to what you have. All right. So we're going to have to see what the qualifications that you may have and what your needs are. And it's going to go right directly to the creditor. So that way, no one can say that the funds from the non-for-profit is being misappropriated, because that's what happened to us when we had our own bank, the Freedmen Savings Bank, during the time of Frederick Douglass, was ran by these European Americans here as trustees, and they deliberately destroyed our bank. And where's our bank now today? That was specifically for us. No other ethnic group of people that bank was for, but for us, because we had 300 to 400 years of free labor. And how was we going to bring up our financial stability in this society? All right. And the Freedmen Savings Bank was to do that for us. All right. So now, where is that bank? That bank was been destroyed by white men and women who were trustees over, unfortunately, of our bank, which that really bothers me, because why are we allowing our enemies to control over our finances? That's the issue. So Now that bank has been absorbed into the United States Treasury. All right. Anybody can Google the Freeman's Bank, and you're going to see that it's the United States Treasury in Washington, D.C. See, a lot of people don't know this.
Right on the same footprint.
Yes, on the same footprint. So our bank, to sustain us, has been absorbed because of the mismanagement and appropriation and the bad loans that these white trustees had mismanaged our bank. All right. And I'm really was bothered by that because we didn't take the initiative to control our own banks and have our own trustees, knowing that this is a need that we had needed back at that particular time. And even the Freeman's Bureau, which was a record of our bureau. All right. We didn't need the FBI Bureau, right? Because we had our own bureau, right? That was taken over by the Mormons. The Mormons have no business having our bureau. And we is not aware of these things. And then again, Brother Allen, we got congressmen, women, and senators who look like me and you, and they never address these issues. They never address these issues. So we are really in a position to get back to the position that we were and move on it so we don't have to be a burden to the government, you know, because so many of our women is on public assistance with children, you know, because of the hardship, you know. So I think it was very important, brother, that I bring out these facts, you know.
They are fact. And to your point, you know, this by their indigenous name, the Scythian, that through Europe, even though our Moor brothers had been there and are the indigenous there.
All right.
Speaking to the graciousness of the Moors, allowed them to populate through the Caucasus Mountains as they were savagely chased there at their defeat of the Scythian Empire.
Can you hold that thought because we're supposed to be going on commercial break?
Okay.
We're definitely going to come back.